Stay with me, Benico. Just keep on breathing. Clara, what the hell is taking so long? Lara can't hold them forever.
This is ancient tech.
Of course it is. It's a human-made station. The whole damn thing.
Yes, but this isn't standard. It's something else. Our tools can barely interface with it. I can't.
We're going to die unless you do something, Clara. All of us. Get this place shut down. Forget the codes. Forget operating procedure. I am ordering you to shut it all down. Yes, sir. Everyone's alright? I can't see shit. By the creators. The mission went worse and worse with every passing moment. We spoke with the Queen and felt belittled and confused. We launched into space and were peppered with missile fire. It was a miracle we made it to the station at all. We drilled our way through the hull and were instantly in the firing lines of horrific metallic abominations. We took cover in a manufacturing center and barely were able to patch up our wounded, only for them to die in the last push. The moment the doors were opened, we were greeted with more of those corrupted mechanicals. Their violet eyes, they used psionics against us, but never said a word. They never surrendered or demanded surrender. We got by them somehow, only barely. Only 4 of us actually made it to the control center. The rest were dead. The 4 of us, and of the 4 of us, 2 were actually whole. Vinico had his arm blown right off, and Clara got a hole punched through them. They were only alive because of their suit, and I don't think they would have survived too long. They were just operating off of adrenaline and shock. I've seen it before, but they're a hero. What was more than likely their last moments, they were making sure they got the mission done and keeping us all safe. I'll never forget that. But while I was on the cold metal floor, shot up, out of ammo, just trying to keep Vinico alive from drifting away into death, giving him what medical attention I could, Clara was doing what they could at the control console. It did, and looked more complex than any I've seen before. Vara, she was in the hallway, cutting down more and more of those things as they filled the halls. Even if we survived against all the odds, it looked like whatever mission that Varactian was on was likely going to be the end of all of us. Those types, they don't like to keep loose ends, you see. After Clara shut down the station's power, whatever he did, the lights went out for a moment. I thought air would soon leave the room too, leave us all suffocating. Thankfully, that wasn't the case. Even still, time felt like it was in slow motion. Darkness reigned, but only for a moment. The machine next to the control console, I thought it was just the power supply, this long metallic tube that seemed to be perfectly smooth and cylindrical. But no, it started to glow purple, vibrate, shift in and out of reality. Then it exploded in a nova of just purple. What happened next, I need you to understand. I was injured. I was keeping Vinico alive. I did not have the best vantage point at all. Everything was dark, only barely illuminated by that psychic glow.
Continue, Captain Brack.
Alright. A person stepped out.
A person?
Yes, a human. She wore a black jumpsuit, had blonde hair, was about 5'8", pale skin, violet eyes, glowing brighter than I've ever seen in my life.
And what happened next, Captain?
Vara stepped forward. The spear in her hand was directed towards the human. She launched herself at her. She was aiming at the human's head. She was incredibly fast, but she was stopped in the air. Grabbed by the human's mind, her psionic force, she was entrapped. She fought it and screamed out, but she couldn't seem to overpower it.
Did the human say anything?
Yes, she asked what was happening, what we were, who we were. She seemed confused and terrified as much as we were.
Did you answer?
I would have, but I didn't get the chance. Vara was able to pierce his spear forward and scraped past the human's face. Must have missed her by an inch. I saw blood. But what happened next was something else.
I must know, Captain, why one of my best trained would go renegade and hunt and try to kill an awakening human without provocation. I must know who they are, what they did, and who they are working for.
You want to know? The human closed their fist, and Vara popped.
Popped?
How else do you want me to describe it? She was crushed. I've never seen anything in my life like it.
I see. And how did you survive?
Beniko, the sprout, he called out to her. Begged for his life.
And that worked?
Yeah, somehow. It opened a discussion. She understood us, and we were able to work out an agreement to essentially evacuate. Then we ran into your ships. I haven't seen her since all your types entered. You took custody of her, right? Is she okay?
Yes, Captain. The human is all right.
That's good to hear. Thank you, Madam Brack.
Talia is fine. You may leave.
Welcome to the void, everyone. Finally, we get to humanity. More can be said about humanity than any and perhaps all other species combined. They reached their golden age with the invention of waygate technology, allowing them to instantaneously teleport to any place in the galaxy. No longer was scarcity an issue, but it was a long and hard road to reach that point, and what occurred afterwards was a true fall from grace. You all know what a human is, so we won't go into the details of their anatomy. The only truly unique thing to add is that of psionics. Upon inventing the waygates and allowing for interdimensional travel, humanity began to manifest psionic abilities within their minds. At first, it was a selected few individuals, but over a couple centuries, after the invention and before the fall, all humans at least had some psionic potential within them. This carries on to present day, with all members of all species. However, humanity is in some cases truly a step above, at least for the time being, and in terms of power and ability to control it. In order to best understand humanity in this setting, a timeline should be established. In the year 2050, a war of resources sparked, one that nearly led to our early death as a civilization, but miraculously we overcame this war, tossed aside tyrants, and united as a people, more than we ever had before. 15 years later, in 2065, the wars came to an official end, and the moment humanity at large was made aware of the Waygate project. For the next 25 years of peace, unmanned replicating construction probes would be launched out of Earth to build these giant waygates around distant stars. In 2100, the first waygates were beginning to come online, and thousands would follow suit. This is considered the dawn of human exploration in space, truly. Humanity, through the work of dumb replicating surveying AI, in 2200 had surveyed most of the galaxy in some respect, and while of course no human eyes had checked every bit of information, it was becoming increasingly obvious that there was no other technologically advanced species inhabiting the cosmos. It was determined that we were alone. In 2220, the Kindred initiative was launched by Talia Brack. She received both massive funding as well as backlash, as she attempted to uplift creatures to create a partner intelligent species to humanity to share the universe with. In 2309, the fall of humanity occurred. The waygates were breached by what could only be assumed to be interdimensional horrors. They swiftly slaughtered humanity in all places that we can be found. It was ruthlessly efficient, and only those who disconnected themselves from technology altogether on alien worlds or went into cryosleep in protected and isolated space stations survived. Lastly, in 3729, well over 1,000 years later, the first human was found alive, with more to follow in the next months and years. This time also coincides with the end of the contact conflicts that arose when the mechanicals reactivated the waygates and allowed the children species of humanity to meet each other. Do not worry if that all doesn't make much sense right now. In humanity's own series, we will delve deep into their history, into our history, in a much more comprehensive and visual way. But with all that said, where does humanity fit in our new galaxy? They are a fraction of the total population, a shadow of what they once were, less than a single %. Most simply just want to find other communities of humans for a semblance of normalcy. But some embrace the new universe they find themselves in, seeing the children species as their responsibility to protect and guide. This is most true when the human in question saw personally the destruction of their civilization and know just how easily what surrounds them can fall apart. Humanity runs the entire range of emotions when pertaining to other species. However, there are two main types of humans that may allow for better insight into who we are in the future. Those are the awoken, quite literally ancient beings that simply froze themselves for over 1,000 years in an effort to wake up in a safer galaxy, and the returned, those who found themselves upon wild worlds, having embraced a more primitive way of living. These two groups, of course, could not be more different from one another, and in many ways are more alien to each other than even the children species that they live alongside. Humans are, in a way, cherished, for if they're nothing else, they are novelties. This of course means that some in the right situations are pampered and treated like wise royalty that should lead. But also in other cases, they are coddled and treated like glorified pets that should only be protected. As humanity has been awakening and interacting with others in the galaxy for nearly half a century now, some humans are outright being born in this new environment, and of course, adapting to it as we always have. On Unity worlds, humans either do wonderfully or terribly. Either they're able to truly establish themselves as a being of importance, power, or wonder, or they are seen as a freak, unable to truly grasp the civilization that they find themselves in, terrified by the strange sentient creatures that gawk at them. Either way, everyone knows the local human. And so, you have it, humanity. Far from the default setting, they are perhaps the most complex individuals in the galaxy, many of them knowing that the strange civilization that they now inhabit may be just as fragile as the one that they cherished so much millennia ago. They are few in number, but often great in ambition. We will of course have a series set to humanity in the future, but that is a ways off for now. For this is the end of the introduction series. I thank anyone who is still listening for spending your time here, and I hope I have inspired you to delve into this setting. The universe is ours to create. I'm now going to disappear for a week or so, in preparation for the next series, or the next two that will run in parallel with one another. One will be about the mechanics of the tabletop game itself, allowing you all to play, and the other will delve deeper into the lore of each species, truly picking them apart, and thoroughly explaining them and their place in the galaxy. But that is all I have for now. So like always, I hope you have a wonderful day. Please leave a comment, like the video, and subscribe to see more in the future. I'll see you next time.